Hi, welcome to episode number 2 of our training diaries.
So we wanted to say thank you for watching last week. We had some really nice messages and feedback and people hungry for stuff to watch
And chat.
Yeah, so we're going to give you a little roundup of what we've done in the last week with our training and where that's gone, how it's gone well and how it hasn't gone well.
Have a tip of the week.
Tip of the week.
Tip of the week at the end.
And we'll briefly... Are we going to say what we're doing next week?
No.
No? Okay. We're not going to say what we're doing next week.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Do you want to start?
Yeah. Because I've had a good week.
Yeah.
So like I mentioned last week, I hadn't been running because I've been injured. 8 weeks ago, I started running again, and very, very gradually. So the kind of, I don't like the word protocol, but you hate it, don't you? Protocol. But yeah, the kind of system or progression that I like to use that works really well, that I've used with other people, is just basically starting 1 minute walk, 1 minute run or jog. Do that for 20 minutes. So that was literally the first week. Did 3 of those in the first week and progressed from there. If I get a chance, I'll put up just a little program of the exact stuff that I did over the last 8 weeks. But gradually built it up with that rather than sort of jumping in at the deep end with kind of 40-minute runs straight off the back. That was preceded and post-run run walk was physio exercises, some strength conditioning stuff. So the run walks in isolation don't tell the whole story. I gradually built that up, and then the last 2 weeks I've managed to do 3 60-minute runs a week with some stride outs. So everything started to feel really good. Some little grumbles from my knee, but nothing that sort of wasn't sorted out before and after the runs as well. And decided this week I was going to do a park run. So first race since July. And so we went along, did the park run this morning, didn't we? Yeah. And I wanted, just because literally I've had 2 weeks of 60-minute runs just 3 times a week, so that's pretty low mileage for me. So I just thought if I can get under 20 minutes this first time out, then that's a good line in the sand to build from. And so I got 19:07 I think this morning, something around that. So I was absolutely chuffed to bits with that. I thought that was really good because it's just off the back of a couple of weeks easy running with some stride outs. But along with that, there's another kind of 12-13 hours of other aerobic exercise a week. So it's not the running in isolation. There's all the swimming and the biking. So aerobically, I felt absolutely great. It just, the running legs just need to start coming back. But yeah, it was cool. So I was buzzing for
and
that.
our local park on Dolby Forest is quite an interesting route, isn't it? It's very varied. It's all trail.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of twists and turns.
Yeah.
And some little climbs and stuff.
Yeah, it always comes up short.
Yeah.
Because there's all these little twists and turns that it doesn't come up. So it is the right distance, but yeah, GPS loses track in the woods. So yeah, I was chuffed. Although the finish was, I thought the finish was going to be further along. It used to be further along. So that caught me out a little bit. So I finished a bit sooner than I thought, which was nice. But I think I had a little bit in the bag as well. So yeah, could have gone a bit quicker.
What about biking and swimming?
Biking this week's biking's been good. It's sort of, I wouldn't say plateaued, but I've just got into a good routine with it. Did a good session Tuesday, which was like low cadence but high resistance, and just trying to hold that for a sustained period, sort of intervals. And that, I probably made that a bigger session than I maybe should have done. So it did take the edge off me a little bit this week. But yeah, that was good. Swimming's been it's like Monday I went in and I was expecting to have a good swim, and it was just crap, and I was just thinking, oh, I'm not getting any better, you know, being a bit sort of, yeah, a bit lame. And then a few things clicked this week, and every swim after that's been really good, so I'm actually really happy with swimming now. And I had a really good swim yesterday. I didn't do many tumble turns this week. I kind of backed off those a little bit just to try and focus more on the actual swimming form and stuff like that. And then yesterday did lots of 25 metre sprint efforts, and then nice cool down afterwards with tumble turns, and that went mint. So yeah, good week.
And you've got a swim technique session this afternoon, haven't you? We don't know what's going to...
Yeah, I'm meeting up with a friend Ian Mulrooney from Smart Weight Fitness, who's given me a bit of coaching help before with swimming. So I'm going to go and meet him and have a Saturday late afternoon swim, which I've never really sort of done before, but I quite like the idea of. Lead nicely into a rest day.
Except it's not a rest day, is it?
No, it's now a long bike ride because I didn't do it on Thursday when I was supposed to do it. So yeah, I do move things around every now and then.
Yeah.
So how about you? How was your week?
So I try to plan. I don't plan necessarily in advance, but I try to work things around my cycle. When I know I'm coming up towards the end of my cycle / beginning, I try and pull things back a little bit and work a bit less hard. So that might look different for different people, and it might mean different things in different sessions. So for me, the last few days, of my cycle, I feel worse probably than the first few days. So that fell the back end of last week. So I just pulled things back a little bit. I didn't do some of the things that I was planning on doing, and just made things shorter and slower, and kind of accepted that I felt a bit sluggish. And then it meant the first few days of the week were probably going to be lighter in the gym as well, because you don't get the same benefits. You don't have as much energy, you don't want to do as much sometimes. I don't anyway. And you feel weaker as well. I find it a lot harder to lift heavy or to run fast or to do anything that sort of exerts. So I was planning on pulling the weights back a little bit last week, which I did on Monday. Tried to put my squatting into practice that I'd done in the previous session with Sam from the gym. And then, Tuesday, day 2 of my cycle, didn't feel like going for a run, so I had a little bike ride on Zwift instead. Again, we talked about that. You're not going to see it on Strava because I'm not allowed to keep it. I did about 12 miles in about 45 minutes. It was all right. And then Wednesday, when I was benching, again, I'd had some tips in the previous session, so I was trying to put that into practice. I was benching a little bit less last week, but not much because I can't add up. So we have different weights of bar at the gym, and I thought I'll start with a lighter bar, and that'll mean I'll go lighter throughout, but I ended up doing more because I didn't add it up right.
Because it was 15,
because it was 20. A 15, not a 20. I ended up adding on more than I should have, but it was fine anyway. But again, this is just my... I don't know what I'd call it, just... I have to stand for quite a while and look at the weights and add them up out loud before I put them on. Yeah, then I did parkrun today as well. I didn't really go in with any plan or anything because I haven't been running much. So yeah, I'd literally run just short of 7 miles all week, which again is low for us. And bike ride on Friday as well. So I am doing some aerobic work, but none of it has any structure. It's just doing what I feel like doing. So I went for an outside bike ride yesterday, which was nice. Again, just short of an hour. So I turned up at parkrun this morning, and really it was Jayson's thing. I was just there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You had a purpose. And I ended up doing a fairly even effort, probably what would have been like a moderate pace when I was running a bit more, felt a bit harder than that. But it was cool. I had a lady behind me. It was really blowing. So I was sort of trying to stay with her in a way. I wanted her to be able to chase me. I didn't know if she was using me for pace, so I stayed just ahead of her. Yeah, and then I've just been marshalling at the Hardwolds for a couple of hours.
Hardwolds 80, wasn't it, today?
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a slightly easier week in the gym weight-wise, but it is because of I'm trying to work things around my cycle and trying to do things in a healthy way so that when I go back and start to do even heavier, which is the next block, I shouldn't feel too tired.
So will you feel stronger next week then?
I should, yeah, usually that's what happens.
The next 2 weeks?
Normally I have a couple of weeks of feeling better and then a couple of weeks of not.
Right, yeah.
So, but you don't want to do, I don't want to train hard 2 weeks, train easy 2 weeks. That doesn't seem like it would progress me very much. And with the timescale that I've got for doing the stuff in the gym, I want to get back to running more frequently in the new year. So to get any benefit from the gym, I have to. It doesn't fall in week blocks. Like it's days rather than weeks.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, when if anyone that I'm coaching wants to factor this in, not everyone does. We sometimes just have to play it by ear.
Yeah.
Because things fall at different times as well.
Yeah. Have that flexibility.
Yeah.
I think it's quite an important thing. Obviously, when you're talking about cycles as well, but just generally is not. It's good to have a plan and sort of work to that plan, but sometimes you need to listen to your body.
Yeah.
Don't you, and know when it's okay and be okay. Be okay just backing off, not feeling like you've sort of failed or something like that.
Yeah. And we both had a pretty poor night's sleep one night last week.
Yeah.
And that can impact. So it's not just your cycle or I don't know, whatever other factors might be coming into play. It's like some days you're just going to feel crap.
Yeah.
And you've kind of got to accept that you shouldn't push those days, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Thursday I was supposed to do a long ride because I'd moved things around to do the park run, and I went out. It was supposed to be like 3 or 4 hours, and I went out and I just felt like just really tired. And to go out at the effort that I wanted to go out at was just going to put me in a bit more of a hole than I wanted to do, so I just cut it short. And then when I decided to cut it short, it started peeing down in rain anyway, so it was like, I'll just come home. But yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think were the sort of good things to come out of last week, even though it was probably a little bit of a deload week?
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about having a week like that, I guess, is that it is purposeful, isn't it? You do need, you need that time to recoup and regroup. I guess the good things to come out of last week were more subtle. It was like working on those hints and tips that I'd had from the PT session with Sam a week or two before, thinking about how I'm positioning myself, because when I do my next block it's going to be heavier lifts, so I need to get that right before I start to go heavier. So that was useful. I wasn't sort of smashing out PBs or anything, or sort of seeing the progress like you saw this week with your running, but it's not a linear progression.
No.
And that wasn't the point of this last week.
You can't do it every week. No. Yeah, I mean, for me this week was like it was just nice to see. Yeah, it was just nice to see like the last 8 weeks sort of coming together to show something for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't want to go into every single week expecting the numbers to get better and better.
I guess I also had a little bit of an introduction to the mobility classes that I'm looking at.
Oh, you were reading about cars.
Yeah,
Kim came in yesterday and she said, I've been learning about cars. I thought,
I don't like
oh,
real
that's
cars.
interesting.
I don't like real cars.
Why is Kim learning about cars?
So cars are controlled articular rotations, which I already knew what they were and everything, but I was, this little, it's not a course, it's just a group that I've joined where I'm learning about this stuff for myself as well as other people. I started on that. So we did a cars session.
So, what was it? Controlled
articular rotation. So
which is
it's taking your joints through the full range of motion.
Right.
So often we don't...
sort of like moving your arm round.
Yeah, but doing it without completely isolating your shoulder.
Okay, not...
No, so we were talking this morning, this is a bit of a tangent, about swimming one.
Oh, yeah.
So you see people doing this, don't you, when they're swimming, when they're getting ready to go in the water. And Jayson said, why don't we do both at the same time, because it's more efficient or whatever.
It's harder, isn't it?
It's harder to do both at the same time. Why is it harder? And it's because you can't twist your body to compensate. So that's what a car is. If a shoulder one particularly, you're isolating your shoulder, you're sort of bracing everything else, and then you're just trying to move that joint through its full range of motion.
Right.
So I did a little bit about, actually in my yoga class as well this week, we did some shoulder, neck and hip. No, we didn't do hip, we did some upper body ones anyway, scapular ones I think as well. So that's quite an interesting little learning process too. That you can definitely, there's a lot of parallels with yoga with it, but it's more,
more movement.
It's more physical. It's very physical. There's nothing else to it apart from the physical aspect. You've got to get your breathing right as well, which I'm going to look into. I think later today I'm going to do that one. But so that's interesting, and I think that's something that I'm going to start trying to maybe give people or look at with people who don't have. Because when we're running, especially, we're just going in one plane all the time, and we're just moving in exactly the same way. And I know we've both had shoulder, not issues as such, but limitations. And probably people have a lot of hip limitations, so they're your sort of big ones, aren't they? Yeah, that was your question, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, the other good thing I had this week, and it's good for you as well, is I know pretty much what races I'm doing next year.
Yeah, it's good for me,
So we know what we're doing, which, we'll definitely come back to that, I think. But I'm quite excited about events for next year, for me and for you. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
So
So tip of the week?
Tip of the week, I think you mentioned, because you like keeping notes.
So I'm not a big computer person, and even when I am putting notes on a spreadsheet or something, which I'm not at the moment, I still write everything down in a notebook. But whatever your tracking of choices, I think tip of the week is track your training and how you feel when you do that training. So it's all well and good just going easy bike ride 45 minutes, but you need to say something about how it went. If it all went okay, you might just put okay, but that's a lot of scrolling there for a week. So I can look back at that next time my cycle rolls around and go, right, what did I do last time? How did it feel? Should I do that again? Do I think I can do a bit more? Should I do a bit less? Shall I plan to do a bit less or a bit more? But always with the intention of being flexible and changing it. But the more you write down, the more you've got to sort of go back to and refer to. Yeah.
I use exactly the same system that we use for the people we coach, because I like it. It works. So it's the way that we record how training went is based a lot on feedback. Writing feedback into the training plan. So I do that. And I end up seeming to write quite a lot. It can be just felt really good, or things didn't flow very well, or poor night's sleep, all that kind of stuff. And it really helps because you soon forget all of that. If you look back at Strava or Training Peaks and you just see the data, you've got no context for that. So you've got no kind of that was during a period of things were going really well or whatever. So I think some sort of written feedback or diary is really helpful.
Even when you've got other things going on as well, like I've written down help at Hardworld's 80 in my diary, because it was only a couple of hours, it wasn't a big deal. But if I'd been doing a really long stint, or I'd been doing like a night shift or something, that would feed into how I felt the next day. So stuff like that, personal stuff, write it down as well. If you had some horrible thing happen, or something extra, just to give it that context.
Yeah, we might have a bit of a special next week. We're going away. There's a subtle hint, or maybe not so subtle hint, in this video somewhere, of where we're going and what we're doing. So if you want to have a guess, then let us know in the comments or feedback. That'll be cool. And I hope you all have a good week. See you soon.